Isn't it one of the great joys of life to be among friends and colleagues who share the same beliefs that you do? Now, tonight, of course, the belief that we are celebrating is that we can create in Australia a place where gender equality is an integral part of our social fabric. Yes, that is a simple ambition, but one that nevertheless drives the work of CEW. It is why we are all here tonight, and it is why the members of CEW do what we do. So, I would like you to know who it is who is doing the doing. So might I ask all CEW members in the room to stand. Founders, please stand, remain standing. Let me speak directly to you, our founders. Achieving equality was the essence of your fervour 30 years ago. You were a group of women who wanted change, and you were prepared to stand up and have your voices heard. Not to mention rolling up your sleeves to take direct action to force change. So thank you, founders. One of our pioneers, Audrey Page, passed away earlier this year. Audrey was a respected leader in the business community over several decades, an entrepreneur who created what was then a new market for career transition services, and in later life, a peerless mentor to many of Australia's top executives. To honour Audrey, CEW, her sons Graham and David Page, and Audrey Page and Associates will partner next year to support a new scholarship for a senior HR executive to attend a top US business school. I am sure that Audrey would be absolutely thrilled, and in particular, that we are announcing it tonight as we celebrate our 30 years. Audrey, you made a fantastic contribution to CEW, and we know that our work gave you immense pride and satisfaction. I think it is... Thank you. I think it is fitting to reflect briefly on just what our work has entailed over the years. The work of 18 members in 1985 is the work of 329 members today. We are achieving our mission of enabling more women leaders. And we have another fabulous batch of 50 outstanding women leaders about to be invited to join our ranks. That's a good thing, as there is surprisingly much to be done. Our work involves fundraising to allow emerging women leaders to attend development courses, from one annual scholarship in 1992 to 17 today, and 800 Leaders Program participants and counting. We select the programs for our scholars and assess their applications personally. We have built our Leaders Program curriculum to reflect the most impactful development for Australian women, and we deliver most of it ourselves. CEW built the first ever CEO toolkit to help organisations start and guide their gender diversity journey, and we developed the Leadership Shadow with the Male Champions of Change to guide the personal leadership journeys of leaders across Australia to become gender blind. We introduced CEO Conversations to assist boards as well as CEOs and their executive teams to tackle and break down the roadblocks to gender parity. And we've published case studies with stories to share, which guide others. Amongst them, in-depth examinations of experiences at both Federal Treasury and Westpac. 30 years ago, we all thought that through talent and hard work, women would achieve economic equality. The truth is that despite women graduating from almost all faculties in larger numbers than men, workforce participation today is less than 60% for women compared to more than 70% for men. There are still only 10 female CEOs of ASX 200 companies, and women suffer an average of 17.9% wage gap compared to men. translating into a 47% superannuation gap by the time they retire. While the reasons for these outcomes are too numerous to list, there are two issues that tonight I want to challenge you all to consider. Indeed, not just tonight, but as part of the way you cast your leadership shadow. So, everyone in this room is a leader. So I want you to work with me to address the lack of inclusion of a gender lens in our national decision-making and the gendered use of merit, which hurts women's chances of gaining leadership roles. Those are a lot of words, so I think they deserve some explanation. 2 weeks ago, there was a National Reform Summit. It was described as comprising the nation's key economic interest groups, big and small business, organised labour, the disadvantaged, and the rapidly growing retiree class. Now, those of you that were listening closely will realise that the only spot that women can fit in that is into the disadvantaged. Women are disadvantaged in Australia, and there was no organisation representing women's interests during the summit's deliberations. Similarly, the Financial System Review last year did not include a women's interest lens in its terms of reference, even though women are so poorly served by our financial system. To help address the disadvantage women face, I am asking you to help us to achieve representation in our own right in national fora, to have the terms of reference of major economic inquiries include women's interests, and to gain representation on significant national advisory bodies again in our own right. Now, our gold sponsor, KPMG, has committed to help making this happen, thanks to their national chairman, Peter Nash, who is going to take some leadership in this. So thank you, Peter. So I think we need that gender lens because one of the biggest single levers that we can pull to improve Australia's economic trajectory is to increase female workforce participation. And so often the reviews that we do have unintended outcomes that put up barriers to this participation. We need different thought and decision-making processes to drive step change, and we certainly need to remove one of the biggest barriers to increased participation, namely the lack of accessible, affordable and flexible childcare. We need to make this available to all families who need it so they can work, pay tax and role model participation for the future. Now, this is not a fact-free assertion that I am making, that this is one of the biggest barriers. CEW is very grateful to McKinsey and Company, who have taken our hypotheses on this subject and pressure tested them to build us a solid fact-based from which to present our arguments for changes to childcare. Thank you, McKinsey. To the second area where I want your help. When evaluating and selecting people for appointment, promotion and honours in Australian business and politics, the concept of merit is misused by the exclusive application of a male lens. If we had applied genderless meritocracy over the past 30 years, I suspect gender parity in leadership roles would be with us already. Selecting males for key roles has been so integral to past thinking that no one has thought to ever qualify the appointment of men with the phrases, "but we must get the best person for the job," or "that appointment must be based on merit." I believe there is no shortage of women absolutely ready and able to fill leadership roles, but senior men are more likely to appoint or promote someone with a similar style to their own. That's human nature. So we need to be sure we're aware of the biases that distort the way merit is assessed. So sorry, but a quick lesson tonight. There is a bias called the double-bind judgment, where women are seen as uncertain or indecisive when they bring a collaborative style to the table and aggressive if they stand their ground assertively. But the real killer is when merit is linked to narrow pathways of experience rather than being based on transferable skills and potential. The reason I call this a killer is because research shows that using these pathways of experience is actually a poor indicator of future success. So the pathways shut out qualified candidates and help you select someone with a good chance of failure. Thinking these complex issues through and addressing the challenges needs tangible, and that really means financial assistance. CEW is absolutely blessed with support from so many quarters. Our annual dinner sponsors, as acknowledged by Carolyn tonight and on the screen behind me, generously support us, in particular with our scholarships and other programs. Our partners include ANZ, who support our thought leadership. Qantas, thank you so much for getting me to every CEW chapter this year. And I hope very much, I'm talking right at Alan now, I hope very much you're going to do the same again for us next year. When you're a national organisation, it's really great to go see everyone. Bain and Company have delivered really groundbreaking research on actions to reach gender parity. And Kingwood Mallisons are, yes, thank you, Bain. Kingwood Mallisons are, of course, our Platinum Annual Dinner sponsor, and they are our stalwart legal advisor. And Deloitte has just taken on the fulfilment of our finance and accounting requirements. I think you'll notice that we don't give exclusivity to everyone, and that is something that I have to say, as I have asked so many of you for help, there hasn't been one point this year where someone has looked me in the eye and said no. And that's when I've been saying, and oh, by the way, your three competitors are going to be helping us too. Because this issue has clearly resonated, and we've now got to that tipping point where everyone works out it's not about getting competitive advantage, it's about just getting the right thing done. So, thank you. The merry band gets ever bigger because tonight I'm absolutely thrilled to announce that Goldman Sachs will support our new CEW Connect initiative. CEW scholars and past participants in our Leaders program will form the nucleus of a magnificent alumni connected to the members of CEW. So thank you to BCG, see I did have the big three, who has assisted us in our program preparation. We are really confident that CEW Connect is going to be of enormous value, not just to our alumni and our members, but more broadly to develop the future of Australia's female leadership.